Alright, this one's going to be a little swift and quick. We're doing a review of Fire and Blood. However, I'm not going to do a detailed review of the story. The paperback just came out. I'm pretty shocked that, yeah, it's only 2 years ago that the hardcover was released. So this is more of a consumer review in terms of whether the price fits what you're getting. Alright, so let me try to be fair. You're getting over 600 pages of prose. At least the one I saw, the paperback includes an interview with GRRM, so that's interesting at the end. You also have the illustrations that you had in the hardcover, and as far as I know, they're the exact same illustrations, and they're really, really well done. They're very, very beautiful and powerful. And the story itself is okay. It obviously has GRRM's trademark, very punchy style. It's told by a maester, but again, warning, it's a unreliable narration. Again, we don't really know if this is the real complete history of the Targaryens, and I have to say honestly, going back to it, I am still not very seduced by it. I still find it all very lukewarm. It does provide, of course, some interesting critical details, but except for the Dorne sections and a few other little places here and there, I just really, really found it pretty boring, and so I don't quite understand the attraction. And again, relative to the other books, it's unclear. For instance, the Dunk and Egg book is about $18 in paperback, but that's only about 300 or so pages. So this still feels like this is quite a lot of gouging for Bantam. So, and again, we don't know how much, George was involved with the actual pricing and things like that. But Stephen King is on record that he has sometimes cut the price. I know for sure with The Dark Half, he cut the price a little bit. So, but I don't know if George can affect that, even if he is such a very powerful author. I just still think 22 is pretty much too much for this kind of book. However, I will say this, the readability is much, much better. There's a lot to be said for A Song of Ice and Fire, but the usual paperbacks that you get are just terrible because, again, there's just too many pages. So it just comes off terrible for me. I mean, just flipping through the paperbacks are always just really, really bad. The larger paperbacks are not much better, but the small ones are horrific. So it's one of those things where why didn't they just release a much, much smaller paperback? They can, again, it's small enough they can kind of have both angles. This is a little bit smaller than the hardcover, but it is very big. So yeah, there's an ease with the readability that you don't have with the smaller paperbacks. So for me, it's a very mixed record. And then there's the ethical issue whether we should be giving George more money and encouraging him to do more of these non-saga books. So I'm going to say a negative. Don't pay for either the hardcover or the paperback, or we're going to have to wait for a much more reasonable paperback edition. But again, if you are intrigued by the story, yeah, I would say it's worth the price in terms of the illustrations, in terms of the length, and you do get an extra interview. So from that perspective, so again, it depends on how intrigued you are with the Targaryen history, whether you're willing to part with your dollars. But again, George has enough money, so I find it hard to justify the price and the kind of ethics behind purchasing it. But the story, if I have to be as unbiased as possible, I think is okay. It's very different from the books, the main saga books. It's not POV chapters, so if you like that kind of style, you're not going to get that. So this is a negative on Fire and Blood, but again, I'm mainly reviewing it from a consumer angle in terms of the price and in terms of what you're getting in terms of readability. I'll do a more lengthy review of the actual narrative. All right, this has been GRRM and Thrones Analyze on Fire and Blood, the paperback edition. All right, thanks for listening. Please be safe. Please comment below if you can, and share the content. Thanks again.